altercation at the combine?
Yes. Yes, with
Okay.
Ian Rappaport, yes. That is
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a Starbucks, no less. So pretty funny.
Yeah, in a Starbucks. I definitely heard about that, yeah.
If my dad owned a bunch of stores, I think I'd feel pretty good about starting fights with somebody else, right? Sorry, way off topic, but just
You're good. You're good. This
But
is
also, like
exactly how we start the live, 100%. And we actually did just start. Just a heads up. Yeah, cheers, boys. Cheers. That was a heck of a win. Gavin Height here with Up West Sports. We got some creators in the building here. We got Pint Size Analyze and Schultze with it's Believe in Mariners, correct? That's the
yes, sir. Yeah, it's spelled kind of weird, but the company it goes by Believe. Really, they got all kinds of podcasts, but started Mariners one at the end of last season. So here we are. Appreciate you guys having me, by the way.
Yeah, no, this is fun. We love doing these Friday nights. After I put my son down, it's nice to just be able to actually have some time to be able to digest. And man, what a game to be talking about. Torpedo bats are 1 for 1, by the way. Just if anybody's taking stats, 1 swing, 1 bomb, and that's all we got right now. So the analytics are through the roof right now. So yeah, what's that? 4,000 slugging right now?
5,000 OPS.
5,000 OPS. Yeah, we're doing all right with the torpedoes.
1256 WRC plus. I believe that's the max WRC plus you can have. 1256. Yeah.
So analytics through the roof. Analytics all say you need to use the torpedo bats. Got to use them. Which is funny because I think I heard something about before the game. I think someone had mentioned Julio was just kind of on the fence, and yeah, not for me. And it was just kind of funny that Rowdy Tellez hits a bomb. I don't know if I doubt he was using the torpedo bat, but it was just funny that he said it and then struck out. Still hoping for him to kind of make that move and do whatever he needs to do. We all love Julio.
Looking at fastballs, like I could probably hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball if it were just laid out for me right down the middle, and I can't hit. If I just saw that over and over and over again, I think that's why fans are wondering, dude, you're just looking at this strike. Why do you keep letting it by or swinging through what should be for you an easy pitch to hit at this level? So,
yeah. I do kind of want to go, we're on a high. Obviously it was a win. We want to talk about just maybe a couple negatives, and then we'll keep it positive for the rest of the time. We might dip into some negatives and just some other things that we can just critique. What are your guys' thoughts on Trent Thornton there in the 5th inning? I understand that's kind of the inning. That's the inning usage that you want out of Trent Thornton, middle of the game, middle relief. But it's still kind of a high leverage game. And we've seen kind of what happens when it's a 2-run lead game. If you don't have the lead, then maybe you go Trent Thornton, if you're chasing, if you're trailing, then you can kind of leverage him. If you will. What are your guys' thoughts on Trent Thornton's usage today?
I mean, why not just put in Gabe Spire? Like, I'm not trying to be like. It seems so simple. When Gabe Spire was like at his best, like I think of Gabe Spire at his best, like it was like August 2023 when the Mariners won that 4-game set in Houston, and they were like, and like all they had to do was go like 15-15 to reach 90 wins and like make the playoffs, which that's all like, anyways. But I remember like Gabe Spire would come in the game and he was just dominant, like 95 to 97 mile an hour fastballs from the left side with like a plus breaking ball, and you were just confident that this dude was gonna get swings and he was gonna execute. That's exactly how I feel with Gabe Spire now. And so I don't know why you don't put him in the leverage situation, but yeah. And then like, I was also at the game on Monday and he literally walked out onto the grass, like over halfway onto the grass, and then went back into the bullpen. And I was so confused, but yeah.
Yeah, Nosey, welcome in. No, Brennan, excellent point. And I do got to ask with that. Well, actually, Schultze, I wanted to get to your thoughts first. What are your thoughts on Trent Thornton's usage in today's game?
I mean, I'm not looking at it as much as a negative, and usually I'm the glass half empty kind of guy here. But I mean, it's a 162 game season, and unfortunately, the Mariners are already down. I mean, their bullpen has been really good the last few seasons, but it's been built kind of on a house of cards with reclamation projects and guys that the Mariners have pulled off the scrap heap pile and turned into legitimate relievers. That Trent Thornton at points has been used as a setup guy. And I think right now, because you're not really feeling as confident with him as Dan Wilson, you're needing him in maybe a lesser situation. But this is the lesser situation. It's essentially this, or, when they're up by a couple of runs, or like you don't want. I don't really know exactly what fans want Trent Thornton, like, the situation they want him in. But, they had Gabe Spire in the next inning. He worked perfectly for them. You love to see that. Vargas, thankfully, was throwing darts tonight. So I just think that Trent Thornton's going to give up a home run here and there. It is what it is. I think he's going to have a pretty normal season. But like the bullpen right now, it's on a pretty bad run of injuries. And I mean, we're looking at like Casey Lawrence throwing pitches for them, which what was his MLB rating like in the show, like 53. Like nobody thinks that guy's on a major league roster. So that's where the Mariners are at.
Yeah, and yeah, kind of to your point is you got to use what you have, and I guess that kind of pivots to another question: is minus Andres Munoz currently without Troy Taylor, and just kind of seeing where Santos is at currently, and minus Brash as well. Is Gabe Spire minus Munoz, who's already there? Is he our top reliever right now?
I think he is because he's throwing from the left side. Like, I really think that plays a big deal in it. And he's actually kind of platoon neutral. Like he throws well to righties too. But I feel like the fact that like he's a genuine weapon against lefties probably makes him like the second piece right now in the bullpen, like second on the totem pole.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too. I think in the short sample size and just seeing the growth from last year to this year, yeah, I think he is your number two. I think if this is your bullpen moving forward, he would be your eighth inning guy, regardless of right or left. But yeah, and I forgot to introduce Nolsey is also my co-host. I know Brendan, you got to meet Schulte. This is my buddy and co-host Kyle Knowles.
What's up, Kyle? Good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah. Kyle, what are your thoughts on the whole bullpen usage situation today? Any thoughts from Trent Thornton, Gabe Spire? I think we saw Carlos Vargas out there.
Did you ever remember, I mean, not too long ago, but do you remember watching Tim Tebow play for the Broncos?
Yeah.
Kind of that 3 quarters, maybe 3.5 quarters of just kind of, what am I watching? Is this, everything could go wrong, did go wrong, and then 5 minutes left in the game, all of a sudden he is unstoppable, makes every pass. Everything just falls into place, and he comes away with a W. To me, that's been kind of the Mariners in a nutshell so far this year. It's Tim Tebow. We are horrendous, minus our pitching. I mean, our pitching our starting pitching is why we get into these games. And I mentioned it last week about how every pitcher I feel like that comes into our games is pitching from their first pitch is high leverage. They don't get to pitch comfortably. I mean, it's always high leverage. And that's because we're not hitting. And then all of a sudden the 8th inning rolls around and Cal hits a 2-run bomb, and puts us up 5, but then we get a guy on base and it's like, oh God, here the wheels come off. And then Munoz comes in, and he shuts it down. To me, it's just like I'm watching Tim Tebow play. I'm watching a Tim Tebow performance on the baseball field. And I like Thornton. He's a slider guy. That was my, MO as a pitcher. And I think the difference probably if you look at a lot of his sliders, they finish up. He's not finishing, middle down. He's kind of finishing, up in which if you look at that pitch, if you finish high a lot of these bat paths, it's going over the fence, which again, we're seeing that result. But a lot of times, if you do miss it, and there's a high probability of you missing that pitch, I mean, if it's got good movement, it's a pop up or it's a ground ball. So it's kind of that high risk, high reward with him. He's a great 6th inning, 7th inning guy. But right now, you think about minus Munoz. Is there a good pitcher for a 1-run league that we have on this roster? I don't even know. Quite frankly, I don't even think maybe Brash is the answer to that. I mean, he's great in some stops, but I don't think we have a reliever minus Munoz that I feel comfortable in a 1-run lead, unless you can give me a starter to come pitch those 7th and 8th innings. That's what you hope Brash is going to be. You hope Troy Taylor's going to be. It's. I mean, I look at some of the guys that are out there. Like, I'd love to have Paul Sewald right now. Like
Yeah.
he's a guy that you feel good when it's a 1-run lead. He's going to get beat once in a while, but he is going to be confident. Now, again, I don't want to talk about people we don't have, but overall, it's hard to judge this pitching staff when our hitting is just so not atrocious, but it's so unpredictable, and you're not confident for 9 innings that they're going to show up. I think about some of our lineups in previous years where they weren't great, but one thing they were really good at was getting the pitcher out early. I think that's why we were successful later in games where I just feel like we strike out. Yes, we strike out a lot, but I feel like we strike out quickly. It's you blink an eye and we got a guy at 0-2. It's not like we got a guy that's got he's 2-2 with 3 foul offs and he strikes out. Hey, it's still a quality at bat. That's what I think what we're missing. And for me to be able to judge the pitching staff, you kind of need to get the batting order to kind of be at a point of, okay, they're producing. Maybe it's not to the level of your top tier teams, but they're producing where, hey, you should be able to pull a game out, and we're just not there. So I really can't, again, judge our pitching staff on really anything they're doing right now until our lineup starts to actually produce to give you the ability to make a judgment.
Well, we'll say this. They just called up Casey Legumina. So if the Paul Sewald answer might be in play. We don't know what he's going to do. That is the X factor. We just don't know.
Baby.
We just don't know what Beans is going to do for us. But we're excited. I can tell you that much. And was today the right choice to throw him in a 3-1 lead? Maybe not. It would have been.
They had going into the 5th inning, by the way, right? Didn't Goldie say that the second time all season? Not sure Dan Wilson knows what to do when the Mariners have a lead in the 5th or 6th without their starting pitcher at this point, because he doesn't have as much experience really in that situation.
And there was a stat this morning I saw. The Mariners have led 14% of their innings all year. 14% of the innings all year. And that was before today. Like it's probably up to like 20% because we led for a good amount today. But 14%, like, oh my God. That's terrible.
Do you have the stat of when they lead innings after the 7th inning? I want the Tim Tebow stat. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
I want the Tim Tebow of we're 10%, 2/3 of the game, and we're 90% the other third. I want to see that.
Also, that point about Brash I thought was really good too, about like not having an 8th inning person. I like Matt Brash and like I'm really excited about him coming back, but I think it would be a little irresponsible to like immediately assume that he's going to be ready to go in leverage situations. Like I think it'll be at least a couple of at least maybe a month before of like, okay, you're going to pitch an inning in lower leverage and then like work your way back.
That was my prediction before, when we were still wrapping up our talks and our episodes in spring training. We were like, okay, what's the expectations for Matt Brash once he's back? It'll be end of April, probably at the earliest. And I know I'll get some battle on this from one of my other co-hosts, but he wanted to just go right back in and just start facing 7th, 8th inning and just start facing high leverage situations. And I was like, I don't know if I would necessarily do that. I would start throwing. I would let him gain his confidence back, because no one knows what he's going to do, including him. He can have all the confidence in the world, but until he faces major league hitters for the first time in over a year, you just don't know.
I got one for you.
Yeah,
we've seen Hancock not exactly pan out. He just seems to, but he's got stuff. You can see the stuff's there. What if we said, hey, I don't think you're going to cut it as a starter, making him a guy that, hey, you've got 4 good pitches, put you in the 8th inning.
I
Let it
mean,
go.
I'm all for that. Here's the problem. We don't have any starting pitching depth. Right now we're down Kirby, and hopefully we get him back soon. But beyond that, we have Jonathan Diaz, we have Emerson Hancock, and we had to go with Pebble.
F. Castillo.
And Wheezy F. Castillo. We don't have options, and I don't want to pound the table to go like spend $10 million on a starting pitcher, but you should probably in that pile season. During pile season, you should probably find some starters in that pile season as well. I think Jesse Hahn was once upon a time a starter. Pomeranz was once upon a time a starter. Maybe trying to stretch them back out. I know they're a little bit older. I know they're not.
What about Logan Evans?
Yeah, and Logan Evans seems to be the next big thing. And I think he might be ready. Considering his age, considering how many innings he has in the upper minors, I think Logan Evans makes the most sense. It's
They're not
just one of
scared to
those
call
things
guys
where
up in this situation either, like him.
no, and they're not scared, but they're also not scared more so on the relief pitcher side. So it's a little bit different, and just I'm curious on what their direction is with him. Because they kind of jerked him around a little bit. They moved him to relief, then back, and it's just like, all right, it's tough to kind of factor that in and just kind of see what happens
What about
with
that
Logan Evans.
Blastano guy? He had
Oh yeah, Blas
Soren,
Castano.
Soren Lau or
Blas
Blas
Castano.
Castano. Blas Castano, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's an option.
I wouldn't mind giving him. I mean, I feel like if you're as a starting pitcher, I feel like as a pitcher, it's easier to translate to major league as as being a hitter trying to translate to major league speeds and pitch frequency, pitch location, pitch kind of strategy. Like if you can hit your spots, your stuff moves, and we hear about the Mariners' philosophy of hey, just throw it right down the middle and let it move. If you're a guy that can do that, let's put you up. I mean, let's send you out here. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It's 1 every 5 starts at this point. Let's see if you can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if we're not gonna have Kirby for a little bit, like we gotta find something, because Pebble's not working, and we don't know. I mean, granted, we gave Pebble 2, and we've only given Emerson Hancock 1 chance. Granted, it was terrible, but
I don't think we'll see him
yeah,
get another.
I don't think you'll end up seeing him get another, but also I don't know. I'm in the camp of maybe you give him another chance because you don't have any other options. You didn't go out and get Spencer Turnbull. You didn't go out and get Lance Lynn before he, I think, ultimately retired. But I did want to get to one of the comments that we already got from Steph. Steph, this is the polo I signed up for. Yes, 100%. This is the polo. Let's take a little bit of a turn, guys. Let's talk about polo. Polo is on fire. He's leading everything. Yeah, this guy. Who is this guy? This is awesome. What was he? He had 3 hits tonight, right? 3 hits, including that first inning bomb. Yeah. If this is the Polo we're gonna get, if we're gonna get Randy Arozarena to just come in clutch situations, even if he's only gonna be like a 220 hitter and have like 25 bombs, but those 25 bombs are all clutch. Maybe not all clutch, but like more so clutch. Like holy smokes, a grand slam when it's 5-0. Like that's you can't. We don't ask for that because we know we just don't get that, and we got it. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on Polo this far, and does it sustain for the year? I mean, not at this elite clip, but does Polo's success translate for a full season?
To me, it's like because of the swing decisions, but like when people talk about like, oh, the guy's a professional hitter, like I feel like that's what I'm like. I feel like Jorge Polanco right now, that's like what a professional hitter looks like. Is that like a fair take?
No, that is 100%. His
Okay.
swing decision and his he's a professional hitter right now, and I think the rest of his career could be at DH. He may not see the infield. He could Edgar Martinez it. He may never see the infield again, and just be a professional hitter and just focus on that. No, that's 100% a great take for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing a guy that you were hoping you'd get from Minnesota, but even in 'Minnesota, it was the story of he's great when healthy. And I
Yeah.
think we're seeing a guy who last year was not healthy. And we're seeing an individual. I mean, granted, he's not really healthy. I mean, he's healthy-ish right now. But I mean, I think it's the difference between being unhealthy on a bad knee versus being healthy on a, sore knee. I think is the difference. And you hear the thing of, oh, he can't hit right-handed right now, just for whatever reason. So that means he's healthy enough, or he was at a starting point where, okay, his knees bugging him in this one kind of motion, so he can bat from the left side. Where last year, I feel like it didn't matter if he was on the left side, the right side, second base, third base, left out, he wasn't hitting. Something was just not working. So I think we are seeing the Minnesota Twin, Polanco when healthy, even a little banged up, which I mean, professional athletes are always banged up. So
Yeah, you hurt or you injured. That's kind of the question always, right?
yeah. So I think we're just, you hear the reports all this last off season of, oh, he's finally healthy. I can't deny that. You're absolutely, this guy looks exactly like you.
He looks healthy.
Healthy.
Healthy. I mean, not
Healthy-ish.
really, guys, because he's hitting, but he's only playing 2-3 times a week, or like 3 or 4 times a week. He's only played in 9 out of their 14 or 15 games. So we're only half a month into the season, and he's already, only played 2/3 of the games, and you're having to listen to Dan Wilson talk about managing an injury that's not even the one that he got surgery for, right? This was a knee surgery that he did in the offseason. Now this is like his abdomen or like a hip or something that he's had trouble with, that the Mariners have to rest him for. So, and I don't know if that's because he had to try to play a position he never did. I always thought that the whole thing of moving a second baseman over to third and that being easier for him defensively was just a load of bullshit. Like, guys, you can't tell a second baseman. And by the way, nobody talked about throwing from third base all the way to first after being a second baseman. And then the turning ability still has to be there, not turning a double play. I remember the Gold Glove plays that Kyle Seager made so many times that the Mariners were lucky to have. And I don't think, I think they would be lucky to get any one of those once over a season out of Jorge Polanco. It's just never going to happen. But the hitting's great. Love seeing him hit. I hope he can be DH. He's kind of that situation. You talk about seeing him with the Twins and the Mariners kind of getting what they got from like the Minnesota Twins Jorge Polanco days. Now he's kind of been on their radar since then, and it took them 2 years to acquire him. You hear kind of like maybe Seth Smith back in the day for the Mariners, somebody that they had their eye on for a year or 2 or 3, then they finally got him. It worked out for Seth Smith. He produced. Jorge Polanco did not last season. We'll see if he turns that around. But yeah, maybe Jerry Dipoto just got stuck on the guy that, Jorge was in Minnesota, and he's okay with Jorge not playing that much in the field and just hitting. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
that
the
first
Edgar
is
story.
yeah. Well, and also that reminds me of like making the switch from second to third, right? Like Kyle and I don't know if you guys have played baseball, in high school, past high school, or anything like that, but making the move from second to third, like what are at this level? Are you kidding me? The only way I could see that where it actually benefits you is, and I'll take just for Mariners references, I'll take the 2001 Mariners, because you had a power hitting second baseman in Brett Boone. If you took Brett Boone and put him at third base because he was your only option, and the rest of your infield, because you had Carlos Guillen and whoever, and Mark McLemore at second, and John Olred, I think you can get away with it, but it's still not a good move, right? Like, you'd rather just have a power hitting second baseman. But right now, I think my hard-headed opinion on it is keep him healthy and just let him DH. Just let him DH and just let him hit like how he's hitting. If this is the Polanco that we're going to get year in and year out, he'll retire a Mariner, and he might have his name up there next to the greats. Where Polanco's at with everything, gotta love it. I think we just need to stick with this infield that we're trying to manage, which I will say it does have its bonuses, because now we have a lot of bag stealers. And now, granted, Texas stole a lot of bags today. I was going to get into that with you guys today and just see what your thoughts were on, I guess, just kind of pitch calling, and it's worked for us for years now. But That's neither here nor there. We'll save it for a later conversation. But I wanted to highlight the good on the Mariners not having, I guess, major league starters as their infield. We got Mastroboni, who shouldn't necessarily be an everyday starter, but I'm excited to see what he could do in a more open role with more at bats.
Yeah, with Mastroboni, I can absolutely understand the fervor, if that's even the right context, about him being on the opening day roster and all that. But the dude also can play 6 positions. He's a plus runner, good defender. I think that's a major league caliber player. I know it's not a sexy major league caliber player, but and he was on the Cubs for 2 years. He's on a team before that. I think Miles Mastroboni is the 26th man on the roster. He should not be the starting second baseman, but he also looks major league caliber to me, at least. So yeah.
Yeah. In the roles that he's been given so far, or the opportunities that he's been given so far, he's done a fantastic job. And I think that's the role that fits him the best at the major league level. Because if you were to put him as an everyday second baseman on, let's say, the Marlins, that could maybe use somebody or give him a chance at being an everyday starter, I don't know if you get the same success. I think you get maybe a 220 hitter. But the one thing he can do is steal bags. Leo Rivas can also steal bags. Dylan Moore, steal bags. That's the one, I guess, one bonus is you're getting all these athletic players that are on the field, and now you're getting more opportunities to steal bags with the guys that you already have. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Mastro, to me, is kind of like a Sam Haggerty 2.0, essentially. He's the last guy on the roster. The Mariners love these kinds of guys. They don't mind employing multiple utility players together on the roster, which, I don't know, when I'm playing MLB The Show, that's how I do it. I like to have 2 utility guys on my bench because, hey, they can play anywhere. The versatility works, but when it comes to hitting, but the Mariners have always been on the utility guy train, way past even the likes of long-haired, beautiful Locke Taylor Motter. So I just know that this is how they've liked to build their roster under Jerry Dipoto, and Mastro probably isn't going to hit like he did in spring training. He actually, if you go back and look at his spring training stats from previous years, he hits the ball off the freaking the cover off the ball is what I was trying to say. Excuse me. He hits his booty off every single spring training, and then come the regular season, it drops down to a 190, 200 average. Probably what we're going to get from him. But the speed and the versatility helps. And frankly, if Haggerty were playing with the Mariners in, now where there's the pitching clock and only being able to pitch out twice and the shorter base paths now, it actually would have benefited him. And I think the same way we're seeing it benefit a guy like Mastro. So.
Yeah.
353 on base.
353 on base. Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's good.
To me, at the end of the day, I think the batting average is always an overrated stat. A guy I want to know how you get on. I don't care how you get on. I just want that you get on. I mean, you look at a guy like a Rosarina. He's batting a $180 with a 328 on base and a 440 slugging. He's getting on base. Even Julio with a 170 average is still getting on base at a 302 clip. That's what I want to look at. When I see let's look at a guy like Raleigh, 283. That's low, or Rowdy Tellez, 148. I'm looking at on base because that's taking everything of your bats into play, not just the hits. So when I see a Mastroboni at a 353, even Dylan Moore's at a 375, that to me, and again, there's always there's a line to it, right? I love that we have all these on bases, but then you need the average, right? Because that's usually how you score, right? The averages add to the runs, but the on base is how you can say, well, we're getting lots of runs because we get lots of people on base. I think that's the equation we're missing is everyone's getting on base, but the averages are telling us we're not hitting people in.
The average is the missing clutch hit.
It's the clutch hit. It's the contagious hitting. We get 2 guys that hit, and then we get 3 straight, duds. Which I guess you could lead into the conversations of a professional hitter of JD Martinez. Could he potentially turn? I'm just saying,
yeah. JD Martinez is an excellent answer because I don't think he cost a whole lot of money, especially at this point in the season. He probably $5 million,
1 year,
if
5
that.
or 6 mil. That's it.
Yeah, 1 year,
But
5 or 6 mil, if that.
didn't Adam Jude ask and they already said no? We're not interested.
Yeah.
We're not going that route.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And it's probably because, and granted, they're doing good things for the organization in the long term, right? Like they're probably trying to muster something up for Logan Gilbert at some point this year.
$6 million for one guy should not.
I know.
Yeah, come
It's
on.
one of those things where
Don't
it's like,
look.
did you really overpay Cal Raleigh that much this year that you can't dip in just a little bit? But
No, that
also,
was a deal, by the way. That was a
right.
deal to the standards of contracts. Come on.
Yeah,
So
JD
apparently
Martinez
saying
just
it's
makes too much
More
sense.
people need to subscribe to Root Sports or Sports.
Well,
Root
That's how
Stream,
they're running it.
That money will
Good
get
luck
us
to do
well.
that, because I tried on the app today. The app on my phone did not work. Well, okay, first of all, the website has never worked for me. I'm logged in with the TV provider like the past 3 weeks. I'm logged in with my family's Xfinity, like all of that. It just keeps saying like log in with your TV provider again. I'm fucking logged into Xfinity. Like trust me, I am. And then I tried on the app on my phone tonight, and that didn't work either. So they're not going to be able to sign JD Martinez because they don't have subscribers, because people can't watch.
People can't even subscribe.
Yeah.
They can't even do this.
Yeah.
No,
But
that's
anyways.
that's frustrating. That's frustrating,
Didn't
man.
mean to
Yeah.
derail this, but I thought I'd add that in there.
Yeah, they're probably doing it. Okay, for every 500,000 subscribers we get another player. That's how we'll that's how we'll run it. JD Martinez is going to be 1.5 million. That's when we can actually make the bang and go get JD Martinez. But he
JD
makes too much sense.
JD Martinez is like the trip that your parents tell you you're going to take. And then I'll like, oh no, we're going to go to Disneyland. And then they take you to like Knott's Berry Farm or someplace way, way less significant. Like, no, screw Disneyland. Let's go like Wild Waves in Seattle. No, we're not going to, we actually changed our plans. We're going to Wild Waves. Yeah. That's what JD Martinez is. It's the hope that will never pan out.
You know what this situation is? Hey, we're going to Disneyland. Okay, cool. This summer? Yeah, we're going to go this summer. This summer rolls around. Hey, Disneyland's not going anywhere. All right. It's still going to be there. That's JD Martinez, 100%. And that's Pete Alonso, and that's Christian Walker, and that's for everybody that we've ever pounded the table for. Oh man, that's I'm glad you brought that up, because I 100% agree. That's 100%.
You don't want to go to Southern California in July. You know how hot that's going to be?
Nobody
Yeah, and it's worth it. It's worth it when you're from Seattle. It's worth it every now and then. Yeah, I couldn't agree.
I wouldn't
couldn't agree
complain
more.
about it. I'm just
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing, is most people from the Northwest probably they get the reference, because they're like, I actually wouldn't complain about that, because I'll take that weather, because we don't get that here. Well, yeah, we saw some really cool stuff tonight. Trying to keep it positive, but yeah, what else did you guys? I wanted to get into stolen bases, and here's just kind of my thoughts on what I've been seeing. So the Mariners are kind of predictable when it comes to pitches, and don't get me wrong, they're very difficult to hit when you have Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, George Kirby, and those guys. They're just difficult pitches to hit, but they're 50+% fastballs, and it's kind of predictable to know when they're going to throw their off speed. So teams that you kind of saw exposed tonight with them stealing bags. Like, it was easy for them to steal bags. And Bryce's what's it called? Pop to pop, or home to home. It's not that quick, especially on his off speed. So you count that in, and they just absolutely exploited that. So is that something that needs to be maybe addressed? Kind of getting down, like when you get into tight situations, right? Like if it's a close game and a runner on second versus first means more, right? Like he's 90 feet closer to home, and now that walk, or that the base hit can bring him in. Is that something that you should probably be worrying about? Is maybe do we call more fastballs just to try and offset it, and the fastball now gets hit because fastballs are easier to hit for the most part, because they're seen more? I want to get your guys' take. Is there any change in strategy that needs to happen to mitigate that problem?
My take is kind of that, like, and I know, like, because I heard from Divish talking about this, like, talking about this last summer too, but, like, a lot of pitchers also just don't really prioritize, like, their times to home anymore, which, like, makes sense because, like, they want to be so focused on, like, their mechanics and, like, making sure that that's right. But I feel like, honestly, like, some of the stolen base issues kind of come down to the fact that, like, some of our pitchers are really slow to the mound, like Munoz, I think of, like Miller when he does that, like, hesitation thing, which that's, like, I know that's kind of like a benefit of it, but yeah, like I feel like it almost has to do with some of our pitchers being slower to the plate rather than like specific pitch types. But maybe I'm wrong though.
Yeah, and it's like, do you want to sacrifice their stuff for it? Yeah,
Exactly. And
it's
that's
there's
kind of
pros
where
and
I'm like,
cons.
that's kind
Yeah,
of where I'm like, I think I'll pass. Like, I'd rather Andres Munoz feel like he's completely there command wise than like be to the mound
yeah,
a half second faster or whatever faster. So like Ezekiel Duran can get to second right now. Like I'll
yeah.
take Duran can take the extra base. I'd rather like the hitter have to deal with 100 miles an hour where Munoz wants it.
So it seems like if you were to kind of implement something, it would be probably for the relievers because that's when tighter games. Maybe you know this nixes Munoz out of it because you're like, don't change a thing, stay
Yeah.
beautiful. But everybody else, because everybody else is kind of a dime a dozen right now in the bullpen. Um, yeah, does everybody else kind of have to make that step up? I think that's a good point. That's kind of where you start. But yeah, what are you guys, Nosey Schulte? What are you guys' thoughts on? I guess just the fastball usage. We aren't a strikeout team, which is crazy. We are a very good pitching staff, but we're not a strikeout pitching staff as far as our starters go. Is there anything that maybe need to be addressed down the road when you're trying to get into those like a playoff situation? If we ever get to see one of those again, if we're in a playoff game and you know a team likes to steal and they've got you pegged. They let's say it's the Rangers. They've kind of figured you out a little bit. Is that something that you need to kind of address going into those certain situations?
I mean, Bryce Miller pitched 5 innings and gave up 2 hits.
3 walks.
That's the kicker. I think it's the
That's the
walk.
kicker.
I
Yeah,
think it's
that
like,
that's the
hey, if
kicker.
you get on first base, that's fine. Quite frankly, based on how I'm throwing, you're not unless the guy hits a bomb or hits something in the gap, you're not reaching home. Like 5 innings, 2 hits. You get those walks down from 3 to 1. I wouldn't care. It's like great. I guarantee you I'm not going to give up a hit and then a walk. You might get a walk 1 inning and a hit the next inning, but at the end of the day, like have fun seeing the game from second base because that's as far as you're going to get, even if you steal.
Well, I'll throw you a
Because
curveball here, and it's not that much of. I guess it's not that far of a stretch of a curveball. Let's say it's a 0-0 game, and you haven't been able to hit, which is very, very Mariner-esque. Let's I guess give it a little bit more dynamic of a scenario. Um, and they're stealing on you. The first 2 innings, they've already stolen like 3 bags. Let's say the scenario kind of kicks that way, and you're starting to see like they've had your number in the season, and now they have your number here, and they're starting to get guys in position. And nothing's happened yet because Bryce has been Bryce, or whoever has been whoever. Would you then have that conversation with him mid game and saying, "Hey, like our hitters just aren't on. I know the pressure's always been on this pitching staff, but we actually need to tighten certain things up." Or would you say, "No, just keep doing you. If they score a run, then we'll rake rake our hitters over the coals."
I think you have to. I think you look at it from how the pitcher is game by game. Like I think there was a game where Logan gave up like 6 or 7 hits over 6 innings. Like okay, maybe we should let's keep these people honest on the base pass because they are hitting you. Maybe they're not all resulting in hits, but you're definitely getting hit around. So, or if it's a guy, it's like, hey, they're hitting the ball, but it's weak choppers to second, or it's little pop ups to center. Just do what you're gonna do because they're not because based on what we're seeing, I think you just have to kind of see how the game goes, right? Because I mean, as someone who's pitched, like you feel great in a bullpen. Oh, they're not going to touch me today, and you go into the game, and all of a sudden that slider that was just coming off the table is just flat as a board, and it's just getting shell shocked left and right. So I think you have to kind of get into that game and kind of see how things are going and go, hey, let's be conservative. Let's understand, hey, they're getting a lot. A lot of your pitches are ending up in the large part of the zone. they're getting a lot of barrel on it. We got lucky on a couple of them. Let's kind of be, let's be cognizant of people on base. Or hey, dude, just throw. They're not seeing you today. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah,
address
go
that in
ahead.
2 parts really quickly. First, just as kind of about Brad Miller, I thought today his recovery from that first inning was really good. I don't mind seeing 3 walks. I feel like Mariners pitchers, they may not necessarily strike a lot of guys out like every single game, but in those key situations where they need to get a strikeout, they do. We've seen that time and time again. And yeah, I mean, they've had the pressure on them for years now, the starting pitching staff always has to shoulder the load from the team. So walks don't annoy me as much. It just, for me, it's a byproduct of them having to deal with carrying the entire team, the entire organization for the last few years. But nice job by Miller today. And with the stealing, I'm not as concerned about it, frankly. Why don't you? I feel like this whole stealing issue could be fixed, at least from a defensive standpoint, by more of a strategy change. Like, since we've seen the bases get bigger and the base paths get shorter, I don't feel like we've seen much pitch out action in MLB. Like, I feel like the pitch out has gone away. So you only have, 2 times to throw out, back to the base. You can only pick off guys twice now. You can still pitch out 4 balls if you want to. Yes, that involves walking a guy possibly, but if you're dealing with guys trying to steal bases on you and you've got that slower windup, I think as the catcher, that's kind of where Cal comes into it. That's where the baseball analytics come into it. And unfortunately, you have to start playing more of a guessing game and say, okay, we're going to pitch out here because this is the situation where we think we're going to go. And I rely on Cal's defense. He's usually going to throw the guy out at least, 4 out of 5 times. So I just don't think that this is something that you can fix with fixing like slower windups or anything isn't going to happen. So you got to go strategy. And for me, maybe try to do something other teams aren't doing as much and throw some pitch outs in there.
I like that approach because there's a lot of parts of this game that have been lost over the years. We talked, I think last week actually, on bunting and just bunting in certain scenarios, and that if you're going to bet under 200 as a team, yeah, maybe you should think about it. I wouldn't actually, that wouldn't be my first place I'd go. But if this is the hitting that you're producing, and you know that you're not going to get any better, well, maybe you have to start exploring other options to manufacture runs. That's another part of it, right? Like being able to do pitch outs, being able to kind of implement that, especially with a team that loads up the zone, that doesn't normally walk a ton of guys. Having pitch outs and sacrificing a ball here and there, yeah, I'm all for it. And just being able to kind of do stuff like that. The problem is the whoever's calling pitches, I think it's is it who I'm blanking on the name. Is it
Woodward, starting
Woodward?
pitching coach.
Yeah, I would imagine it's him that is calling pitches. I think he's so focused on just like attacking the hitter. He's got all the analytics that he needs to attack the hitter that he's not even thinking about the guy on first. So it would have to start with him. It would 100% have to, like, okay, we just threw 2 fastballs to load it off. They know a changeup's coming. Maybe we go with a pitch out right here. Or it's a 1-1 count, because that's usually when guys will go. They'll go either on the first pitch and just try and beat the fastball, or they'll go as soon as they know the pitcher gets ahead or even back in the account. And that's when you'll start to see a changeup, which is exactly what happened with Bryce Miller. He threw a changeup and boom, safe. That didn't even have a chance. I think it was 2 or 3 times. But yeah, and that was just to kind of touch on some of the other parts of the game that's been lost over the years. Straight bat to ball skills. One of my favorite players right now, Luis Arraez, just struck out for the first. I think he was the last player that hadn't struck out, and he just struck out yesterday for the first time this season, which is insane. Those are like parts of the game that I'm wishing made a comeback. But when you watch college baseball now, and when you see top prospects and stuff, you'll never see. If Luis Arraez played at University of Texas, he would not be a top prospect, like, not even a little bit. He can go out in there and bat .480 with 2 home runs. Would not be a top prospect. So yeah, that's a lost art in my opinion. I feel like that's something that needed to be talked about and needed to be addressed, because I think you hit on a couple good points there. But yeah, this game, we're all fans of this one. Heading into a good rest of the series. Do you guys know? I know they probably showed it. I forgot it. Do you know what the rest of the series stands out? Do you know what the matchups are by chance?
I know it's Rocker and then Evaldi, I believe, or Evaldi Rocker.
Yes, Rocker and
Vol-
Uvalde.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm
So they're
excited to
ARs.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Wu and
excited to
Gilbert,
see.
Yeah.
And Evaldi, I think, had a really good start last week. I think he went like 7 innings and was like untouchable. So it'll be exciting. I mean, against this offense, I would imagine he at least goes 5 and at least does a little bit of damage. What are you guys' thoughts on the rest of this series and just kind of outcomes or problems that we might run into?
I'm a little concerned by Rocker, honestly. Like he got hit around last start, but like the dude is just like a fantastic pitcher in my opinion. Like the talent is all there. The thing about Rocker that kind of scares me is he's got like a slider, but he can manipulate it to where it's like a lot more sweepy, or it's like a lot more firm, like harder thrown with like a more depth, vertical depth versus like horizontal action. So
Yeah.
my worry would be like if tomorrow he's just like, oh, let me just throw this like sweeper with like 16 inches of horizontal break at 84 miles an hour. And then let me like come right back with this 88-mile-an-hour slider that with like 4 inches of horizontal break and I feel like it could just honestly end up a disaster because like the pitches look so similar, movement path is so similar until like the very last point, and yeah, I feel like that could be really scary if he is like actually able to manipulate it. But he also might have like zero command of the breaking ball tomorrow, and that would be like also a possibility. So
Yeah, and if and when Leiter returns and returns kind of like how he was, that could be that could be a rotation to be worried about, especially if they end up getting a good arm because there's a ton of good arms in this upcoming draft. I actually just did an episode with I don't know if you guys follow Overdue Sports. He's pretty big with um, college prospects and everything. And we talked about some of our favorite guys. And man, this year, rounds 2 through 5 are loaded with really good arms. And then you're going to have like Kate Anderson, Liam Doyle, Jared Spencer, Jamie Arnold. Like if one of these guys ends up popping out and going to Texas, and Texas, finds a way with them, they could be really dangerous with the pitching staff as well. And then the Angels will always be the Angels. We just saw what was the score today, 13-2. The Astros just absolutely terrorized them.
Cam Smith finally hit a home run.
Yeah, Cam Smith. Yeah, good for him.
I know.
I don't really root for the Astros, but he's a cool story.
Yeah, and like just that video of like his mom just walking in the clubhouse, like, and just like how much that meant to him. Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to hate this kid? I can't.
It's it's beyond beyond Astros, right?
Yeah.
It's beyond baseball. That's
Exactly.
how I equate it, right? Like that's how I equate it. There's
Like
there's
so far beyond baseball.
there's and over the next, I don't know, however long I'm going to be living, there's going to be Astros players that I'm going to like. And I'm sorry if you're out there listening and you don't like what I just said. The Astros themselves, I don't really care for them, but there's going to be some players out there, and you just, I actually have some former players that are kind of higher end prospects, and one of them could be an Astro, and yeah, I'll probably be a fan of his as well. So it's just kind of, it is what it is.
And like the other day on Monday when I went to the game, like the Astros were actually doing like some late BP, and like I just walked down and like just like standing like 40 or 50 feet away from Jordan Alvarez, just taking BP, and like just hearing that, I'm like, how am I not supposed to be so impressed with like the athlete that this guy is, and like just what he's doing like right in front of me. But yeah.
Don't let a couple guys that banged a trash can ruin it for everybody else.
I mean, yeah. How? And here's a question for you guys. I don't know if you guys know this because I don't. When the White Sox did their whole thing, how long did people just razz them for? Because obviously, people still to this day, every now and then, they remember them as the Black Sox. But the White Sox are so terrible nowadays that you just don't care to call like if the White Sox were going to the World Series every year, you'd still like, oh, you guys were the Black Sox, you cheated.
I think that's kind of the wrong question to ask because they all got banned, at least the people that participated in it. So I mean,
Yes.
they actually the players themselves
the
were
punishment
punished,
fit the
which
crime.
Yep. No,
yeah,
that's
and
a
therefore
good
the
point.
blowback on the organization didn't really happen. I mean, and let's be fair, all of baseball owners then were jerks. They were cheap a-holes, and the commissioner even was a cheap a-hole. They didn't support any kind of player rights, and so I don't necessarily agree with Major League Baseball's system, and I agree with maybe why the players did it, but unfortunately, they broke the rules. They were banned, rightfully so, and because of that, I just don't think anybody cares about the White Sox organization. So,
Yeah. No, and that's kind of how it's been since. But people still remember the scandal, and it's still kind of a big thing. So I'm just curious, like how long do people just say the Houston Trash Throws and just kind of give them Raz and everything? I still remember. Oh man, what's his name? The relief pitcher for the Dodgers,
Joe
um,
Kelly,
Joe
Kelly.
Kelly. He
oh
was an
yeah,
absolute
so cool, but
hero.
he I thought that was so cool, but then I actually found out something like really disappointing about Joe Kelly this offseason.
oh no,
Apparently, when Liam Hendricks had cancer in 2023, like he was diagnosed with cancer in like December of 2022, and then in spring of 2023, after he went through um uh um what's it chemotherapy and like
Mhm.
all of the rehab process, he came back, and I guess the White Sox, like the managers and like front office were trying to have like all the players come in and like support Liam Hendricks at his like welcome back press conference, and like Joe Kelly, Kendall Graveman, and Lance Lynn like refused to go to the press conference and like had to be talked into it. And I'm like, you guys
Wow.
are like, that is so abhorrent to me. Like, I don't care what you think about like the person as a teammate. Like, he's
Yeah.
coming back from cancer. Like, so I've lost a lot of respect for those dudes. I'll be honest. But anyways, that's kind of beside
I'll
the point.
I'll even give you another part of that. I've actually gotten to meet Liam Hendricks. He is one of the coolest people.
Exactly.
And
Like,
this was before everything went down. He was he's working out here in Arizona, and one of the guys that we knew at the same place that he was working out at, they were like, "Hey, I just need to throw some live hitters." So he came out and threw to our post grad guys, and he was awesome. He met with the guys, he signed balls, he did all the stuff for our team. He was just an incredible human being. He
yeah,
also
and
listened
like,
to some psycho music, which I became a fan of that psycho music. So shout out to what's it called? Electric Callboy. That's if you haven't heard of Electric Callboy, it is now some of my favorite music as well. But the guy's awesome.
yeah, and
So
like by all
yeah.
accounts, Liam Hendricks is like an awesome dude, like great personality, like helps grow the game. Like the clip of him at like mic'd up at the All-Star game, like that's great for the game. Like, so yeah, just like the idea that like Lance Lynn and like Kendall Graveman, former Mariner, and then Joe Kelly would have to be talked into like attending a teammate's welcome back press conference from cancer. Like, you guys are, anyways. I've
Yeah.
lost a lot of respect for those dudes.
valid
Anyways,
reason.
Seems a bit rough. I don't
yeah,
know. Crazy
But
recipe, man. Let's try
but but Gavin,
it.
to answer your question, I think
Yeah.
when people stop kind of thinking about the situations, right? I think is when essentially people are gone, right? So you still have Altuve there. I think, and he was a big part of that whole thing. And so I think when he finally goes, I think eventually that's kind of what turns the page. All right,
Yeah. And
the
you know what?
that
You know what my thoughts
final,
are?
the final,
Like,
the final culprit of the whole thing. Like I like AJ Hinch. I think he got absolutely scapegoated on the whole thing. You know, and
Well,
whether
I
he knew
disagree. I think
more
he's a little
about it
bit of
or
a
not.
bitch for not doing more, but I
I
digress.
agree. I agree.
But at the same, yeah. So you can always do more. I don't know, like
I hear
it's.
you. I hear you. I get
But
why you feel that way.
yeah.
but at the same time, really, you're gonna ban him so you can keep your product on the field. Like to me, that was the problem. I mean, it's the same thing like when they had the bounty gate with the Saints. They didn't they didn't punish any player. They just punished the coach and the defensive coordinator. It's like they don't make you money. So you just told me right there that you'd rather keep your money on the field. That, quite frankly, I can pay you here. I'll pay you 20 grand if you can bust Tom Brady's ankle. Regardless if I pay you or not, I'm not a product on the field. So I can't make that happen, but yet you're okay with it. Hey, I know he's the one that did it, but you asked him to do it. You nudged him to do it. It's like, well, chicken before the egg. Like at that point, who do you blame?
Well, and to your point, Nosey, Manfred already said that the immunity given to the players in that investigation was probably a mistake. So I think you're making a good point here, brother.
Yeah,
So
and that's
it's like at what point in time do you finally make the example? I felt like there was precedent, right? The Black Sox were the precedent, and you completely went against it. Like, you look at Pete Rose, you ban the guy because he did exactly what he did. He bet on baseball.
That's not even the worst thing Pete Rose ever did, by the way. Just have to point that out there.
yeah.
But the same, and then we can get into the Barry Bonds thing. Like, I don't care if the guy did steroids; they weren't illegal at the time. I don't remember them being saying you can't take steroids. They weren't being tested for or whatever it was. I don't remember it. I mean, I could be completely wrong there. So, fact check me if that.
No, I think you're right. He's just kind of a D-bag, and I think people are allegedly, and I don't think people let D-bags as often nowadays into the Hall of Fame. They get there, but I think Barry just treated former players have spoken out about how terrible he was. Jeff Kent, the whole feud with Barry Bonds, the public, like, things that happened between them. A lot of other teammates hated Barry. He got special treatment from the Giants on top of the massive contract he got, which in the 90s was kind of unprecedented, especially in baseball at the time. I believe there are many reasons why Barry's probably not ever going to get into the Hall. If that's kind of the metric maybe that you're bringing up, Nosey, I'm not sure if that's what you're saying. But I don't know. Barry, he was great. I don't think it's the steroids at this point. I think it's the kind of person that he is, and he wasn't a great person.
Be a Hall of Famer. Barry should be a Hall of Famer.
Maybe. I don't know.
Twist his arm. Twist his arm.
Because if you're an asshole, but you're good, it's okay.
I mean, that's fair. I guess. Did Theo beat up on women too? Because if he did, then that kills my argument about that.
I think my line is just like, where do you draw the line to be?
I get you.
Precedence. Yeah. Like, if
it's a good point.
You have precedence. You have precedence with essentially betting and doing illegal acts. I mean, what happens when you catch a guy with a foreign substance on their finger as a pitcher? You toss him. Well, what if it was, Paul Skeens? Well, God, we can't throw out Paul Skeens. Hey, manager, I need you to leave instead. Like, that's kind of what the precedent's now become. If you're the people that we want to come pay money to watch and you break the rules, we need to actually point the blame somewhere else. That's kind of now what the precedent has become. Because AJ Hinch, just back to that, he didn't bang trash cans. The players did. But at the end of the day, who got punched? He did. That's all that's my only point on that. So
to talk more about your Barry Bonds theory there. First of all, I am probably the biggest Barry Bonds fan ever. I know he probably is. He may be a D-bag, but wanted to kind of cross that into. We've had a discussion about just Hall of Fame talk and just getting into the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones made a pretty good point. There's zero people. I mean, how many Hall of Famers are still alive? I think he said there's like 40 that are still
75.
75. And none of them get a vote. I feel like that's a little bit harsh. I feel like that's a little bit rough. And the people that never played the game above probably high school are the ones that are deciding these people's career. Now I've heard the argument on the other side of this. I think one of our other co-hosts, Ty, was like, "Okay, who's this game for? Shouldn't it be for them?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it's for the fans. Then maybe fans should be at least a part of it." But I think. Really, just from somebody who played at the college level and semi-pro and all that stuff, I really think you should at least integrate former players or at least Hall of Famers. You can decide who that committee is, but it should be some former players and managers that had to do with being on the game or being in the game.
Doesn't the Heisman voters get to vote for the Heisman?
See, that I don't know. I don't know enough about I don't know enough about football to know that part. Do you
Schultz
guys
is
know?
looking. He's looking for that
I'm
answer.
looking right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, but okay. So I guess
Yes,
just to kind of
all
wrap up.
living former Heisman Trophy winners are eligible to vote for the Heisman. That's a good plan. Just as soon as you're elected, you get a vote. You get a vote. Everybody in the Hall of Fame gets a vote. That's how it should go.
That's
And
yeah,
you should, and the anonymous voting has to end. You
Yeah.
have to give a reason, or at least give
Agreed.
a reason for why you did or did not vote somebody in.
Yeah, the whole Ichiro
yeah.
thing. God,
The whole
I
Ichiro thing, Ken Griffey, like how do you not? You need to give a reason why. And if you can't, if you refuse to, give up your anonymity, that'll be a fun word to say. If you refuse to give that up and to give up a reason, you should not be able to vote. Like the people behind the scenes should find out. Okay, there was one person that didn't vote. We have all the names over here. This person is the only one that is not coming forward, and they're the only one that oddly enough didn't vote for Ichiro. They don't get to vote next year.
I think we just need to do some investigative work. I hope somebody's already on this since it happened, but I think they made 200 or it's either 290 or 390 voters for the Hall of Fame, and they made I think all but 70 of those were public. And
Yeah.
the lacking Ichiro vote was one of the 70 or so anonymous voters. So we know it's one of a group of people. And I think slowly but surely, hopefully somebody's out there, because I don't have the time or money to do it. Hopefully somebody's out there trying to figure that out, maybe do a little groundwork and talk to some people. And it's like, hey, did this guy like Ichiro? Did this guy
Well, it's
like
like-
it? Yeah, something like that.
If you're the only person that didn't vote for somebody, you should probably. I mean, you are the minority in this case, so you should probably stand your case and say why you didn't vote for him. Hey, man, I just don't like the guy. I would respect you for at least saying that. I wouldn't respect your opinion, but I would at least thank you for
Respect your right to have it.
respect your
Yeah.
right to have it. I just don't like it.
But that's
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about sports, right? Or sports opinions, right? We don't have to like it, but we respect you enough for giving the opinion. Someone
Yeah.
could say, "Hey, the guy hit the ball and never did anything with it. The guy had a ton of hits, no wins."
I mean, shoot, that's why we do. I'm
anything.
pretty sure we all got into podcasting for the same thing, for difference of opinion, for being able to have. Because if we were all yes men and just said yes to everything, then I mean, it'd be a boring kind of be a boring podcast and a boring talk. Difference in opinion is actually what sparked conversation, and that is why I love it. But yeah, stand your ground. Like the one person out there, stand your ground. Let them know. Let them know. We'll hunt you down. Somebody out there on Twitter will. I promise you that.
Jeff Passan should just be the king of AP, the AP, and just call
Jeff
it.
Passan gets a pass.
Because I feel
Yes.
like I just feel like to me, he's like the one guy that will give you an unbiased opinion. It's just sports,
Yes. And
but
it's
also respects the player, and that's the difference between him and like an Adam Schefter. I think Schefter does not care if I ruin your life or not, as long as I'm there to the party first. I don't care. I think Passan cares enough about the people, but gives an unbiased opinion. To me, he is the best sports writer we have today.
yeah, he's awesome. And he's got the
Love Jeff
personality to back it up.
Goat.
He is. He's awesome. Yeah, and he has the the stories. I know somebody found out the story of his senior year prank and everything. That was hilarious and everything. If you haven't seen it, definitely look up that video because it's hilarious. Well,
I'd
guys,
add
we've reached.
I'd add Wojnarowski there, but he no longer does press, so I can't add him to that vote. But
Actually, and
Yeah.
to your point about Adrian Wojnarowski, I interacted with him several times earlier on in his career as he was rising up the ranks to ESPN, when he was with Yahoo. Just what a great guy. You wish that guys like that were the guys breaking the news more. So yeah, great dude. Just can't not say good things about Adrian. Absolutely. And hey,
Can I
really
say
quick,
one-
Gavin. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, get in there.
No, it's okay. It's about something completely different. So
No, I was just going to say really quickly, a great stat to throw in before we get out of here. Adam Jude posted on X about an hour ago. Cal Raleigh now the leader in Mariners franchise history for catchers
Yes.
hitting home runs. 96 home runs now for Cal, beating out the legendary Mike Zunino at 95
Nice.
on the list. So Cal
Okay.
Raleigh now the leader in home runs for Mariners catchers all time. Pretty cool.
That's actually perfect because that's like about what I was. That's what I was going to talk about. I guess these are like three of Cal's most iconic home runs now have all come off like the facade or the window. So he had the first career home run, which I don't know if you guys remember it or not, but like rookie Cal was a rough watch. But that bomb he hit against the Athletics was like a legit. That thing was like one of the furthest hit home runs by a Mariner that year. And it was like towards right center, like pretty far towards right center, still off the facade, and that was like a big home run, pretty iconic, I think. And then of course the drought ender, the
Yes,
iconic home run,
the
was off
iconic.
the windows, was off the windows, and then now today was off the facade. So I feel like three of like Cal's most iconic home runs so far have all come off the facade, and yeah, I think that might be, I think there was like some talks that they were going to rename it the Cal Zone. I really think they should look back into that.
No, that's that has to happen now.
Or like they
Yeah.
hit
The
it
Cal
the Cal
Zone.
Cafe or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Love that.
The Cal Zone has to
The
be a
Cal
pizza.
Zone.
It's got to be.
And it's got to be a
place.
pizza joint.
It has to.
100%. You
And then we
have
got to
to.
release Dominic Canzone so he stops doing this. Just get rid of him. So nobody gets confused.
Oh yeah.
Just hope that's like, hey, welcome Dumper back to Major League Baseball kind of thing, like as a hitter. Hey, welcome back. Let's go.
Welcome back.
You know, like, because I mean, before then he hasn't really done much. So you're hoping that's kind of his awakening because we need that. Our order has been, again, we've been missing the consistent or the contagious hitting where we get and it's just we need to stretch our lineup more. And it's like, great, you get Polanco getting on, maybe Rosarina walks. Okay, where's the next hit coming? Honestly, it's been happening, 4 batters later in, Dylan Moore. Well, the problem is the inning's already ended. There's no one on base. You're actually starting the next inning. So we need a Cal. We need those contagious hitters. We need to stretch this lineup of people that can actually give us some hits.
You mean like protection for Julio for Cal? Yeah,
Oh,
that would be
yeah.
nice, right?
What does that look like? I just don't even know. I couldn't even fathom what that looks like. Well, boys, we've reached over an hour, and I want to keep this going because I'm having fun. So wanted to kick it over to you guys for protection. Let's go to protection, not condoms. Let's talk about protection, not guns. Let's go. Who's coming up this year to make a push hitter-wise that we're excited about? Is it Ben Williamson? Is it somebody else? Mine, and we've talked about this, Kyle, Nosey and I. Ben Williamson. Yeah, finally got it. Now that you're right below me, this one is so easier. So I usually, like, in our episodes, I always get crossed up. Yeah. But yeah, Ben Williamson's mine. Who are your guys' favorites coming up that could impact the 2025 Mariners?
I love.
Let me find a deep cut.
Yeah, find me a deep cut there, Brennan. And while you're looking, Nosey, what do you like?
I like Cole Young. I just like. I mean, if you look at his stats right now, I know he's batting $170 right now with the Rainiers. But
it's fine.
But look at his on base. He is 316. He's struck out 9 times. I think it's just getting used to the pitching. He's walked also 9 times. The guy's just getting comfortable with the plate.
I also have some access to like AAA data is public, and yeah, Cole Young's like underlying metrics. I can pull it up really quick, but they're completely fine. I would not care about the triple slash at all. Let me get it.
So for me, I'd love to right now with Bliss out for. They're saying July. I think he's maybe September.
There's a chance he's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
there's definitely a possibility that you won't see him in 2025 again, unfortunately.
I would love to see Cole Young come up just because of, again, he's got a great eye for the ball. He gets on base. He's got a great set of wheels. He's kind of going to give you a Bliss-esque, I think, type of game. I think he might be a little bit better contact. I think athleticism rise in terms of like the base stealing and stuff like that maybe isn't as great. But to me, I think he's we've talked about like the Colt versus Cole conversation where I like Cole more just because I think he's good at everything and he's not great at one or two things. That's my take on Cole.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's Ben. I want Ben up now. I would love to have him up now, let him get a little bit of the taste of the big leagues, and kind of go from there.
I'll give you a little bit deeper of a cut here, and I won't go too deep into it because I know Schultz, you probably got one here. Samad Taylor is mine,
Ah, you
and I
took
don't
one.
know.
Good one.
Oh, I did. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go,
No,
go, go.
you
It's
take.
fine. It's great.
Oh man, yeah, because he's not one that you think of, but I watched this guy in spring training. This guy can play anywhere on the field legitimately at a very high rate. Defensively, you're getting an all-star defensive player. Beyond that, you're getting a bag stealer. You're getting Ryan Bliss ish. He's going to be 30 plus. If he were to play every day, he'd be 30 plus, still in bags. But then also, just I mean, what you've got to see out of his swing in spring training, there wasn't a ton of whiff, and I like that. I like Samad Taylor. That's mine. Schulte, I'm sorry, man. I should have let you go first.
No, why are you sorry? Well, then you'd have to try to. I had a couple in mind. No, I
Okay,
honestly,
good. Yeah, perfect.
I felt bad when Samad was removed off the 40-man roster. To your point, I just don't understand why they don't like his swing, because that's obviously what I think most scouts say he's lacking. But he gets the
Yeah.
bat on the ball. I actually like the way that it seems. And to speak to the point about Ryan Bliss, I feel like he has a similar swing. And what people like about Bliss's swing is his bat stays in the zone a lot. He can kind of keep the big part of the bat in the strike zone. So he's got more of a chance to do something with the ball to all fields. I feel like Samad has that kind of swing. He actually's got some pop to his swing too, and they're just not giving him a chance. So I would love to see him. But I think another guy that you could take a look at, shore up the corner infield a little bit if you don't go to Ben Williamson, because obviously we're going to see him as a Seattle Mariner in 2025. I think the question is just when. But Austin Shenton, I think he's a guy that you
Austin
could look at,
Shenton.
former major league experience. This sucks, by the way, that this is what we're having to do, but I'm going to try to keep it positive because, like, they're not going to go get JD Martinez. I've got to talk about a minor leaguer that's barely played in Major League Baseball that I can hope can come in and have a Mike Ford-like impact for them in the second half of the year. And I think that guy's going to be Austin freaking Shenton. He's hitting 230 with a couple of bombs down at Tacoma so far. But he's actually, I've watched a couple of his clips. He's had some good at bats, seems to fight with the pitcher, fouls off some pitches. And that's kind of what you're looking for in a quote unquote pro hitter. So maybe Shenton will be up here. They got a guy named Jack Lopez too, 32-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's played a
Did
couple
you?
of
Okay, so I got to
I'm
see
sorry.
a couple of his
No,
games.
no.
Listen,
If Jack
his-
Lopez gets a plate appearance this year, that's
Listen,
really bad.
his
I'm sorry.
stick.
That will be so bad.
Brendan, you're not wrong on his stick, but his
No.
defense, he is Brendan Ryan. I swear, I saw watching this guy play shortstop of all places, which we do lack current players. Like we're not expecting Colt Emerson to make that jump. We're Felton Celestine so far back. Jack Lopez as a defensive shortstop is amazing. And then he also had like 3 hits in the game that I watched too. So I was like, okay, I'll keep this guy in the back corner. But you're right. I think his swing doesn't compute to the major league level. But Jack Lopez, just keep him in the back pocket. You know, you never know. I like that you brought him up because he was somebody that I saw play a couple of spring training games, and I was like, I like this guy. Like he's got, he didn't have the best swing, but in spring training, some of those hits are definitely not hits in Seattle once the lights turn on and everything. But that was a good one. I like that one. That's fun. Yeah, and Austin Shenton. I almost had to call you Mark from Maple Valley there. You got a little hot headed. I love it. That's
I
what,
appreciate it. That is, if you have me on again, that's going to happen again. I tend to go on a rant. I bleed Mariners teal, and I want nothing more. The way I watch sports, I want my team to win. I want my team to win a title. I want my team to get to the playoffs and attempt to win a championship. I know that that's not, the way every single fan watches sports, but that is how I entertain myself with the game. That's what I want for my Mariners. So I want them to win it so bad. I want them to go in all in so bad. I've been a fan of this team since I was 6 freaking years old. So that you're going to get a few Mariners rants from me on the show.
You get nothing less from us as well. It's nice. It's nice because that's what we do it, right? We're fans. We're passionate. This is what we love to talk about. I was this whole thing started for me because our other co-host Ty 10 years ago, we would just stay up for 5-6 hours playing Call of Duty and talking Mariners and Seahawks and Wazoo football and everything. And we do that.
Luke Falk. Were there Luke Falk mentions?
Oh yeah, I was there for Connor Holiday and I think Luke Falk was a freshman, redshirt freshman. I think that was the years that I was there.
I had Jeff Toole, Lobestall, and Connor Holiday.
That's right. Yeah. And we crossed over with Holiday.
I got
I
Jason
started
Gesser's
following
autograph way
WSU
back
football.
in the day.
There you go, Gesser. I'm sorry, what's that, Brendan?
WSU football in 2017 or 2015, I mean. And Luke Falk was like so cool to me. Like Luke Falk was like the GOAT. Like just nowadays watching Luke Falk, I'd probably be like so frustrated. But like just watching him just stand back in the pocket and sling it, like 9-year-old me just loved that. And then Gardner Minshew was like Gardner Minshew, that run was like the greatest 3 months of my life. Like I dressed up for Gardner Minshew for Halloween. Like that was
Hey, go Cougs.
I will stand by the statement that the 2018 WSU Cougars make the college football playoff if Hercules Mataafa is still in the program.
Yeah.
I agree. That's my hot take of the night. But yeah,
I love that. And go Cougs, by the way, for all of our Cougs
go
out
Cougs,
there.
absolutely. I also went to a game in 2017, and I got I don't have it here with me, but I got it was like pouring down rain. It was against Colorado. You might remember it. They won 28-0. But after the game, like I walked down like to the tunnel, and I was just like, "Go Cougs, go Cougs!" And then Hercules Mataafa like walked up to me and gave me his like Nike armband, and I still have it. And that was like, and he was like All-American that year. He was like dominant. So that was such a cool memory for me. But yeah, I love the Cougs.
Yeah, that 2018 team. And Knowles, I don't know if I speak for you on this one, but when we got Gardner Minshew, I was like, okay, we'll see how this year goes, because you saw his stats at ECU. He was like, not too pleasant, and he was going to go to Alabama and just be the backup quarterback and then work his way into a coaching role. And so I was like, okay, maybe we'll get a guy that's just going to not turn the ball over and just be kind of a general on the field, and we'll see what he does in this style of offense. And sure enough, he wowed me. I think he wowed everybody, and it just became a fan favorite immediately. But yeah, Luke Falk, just so you know, Luke Falk's coaching football now. He coached at Division II school, Wingate in North Carolina, and then he was most recently Seaver King. Yeah, Seaver King, who transferred to Wake Forest. And then he went to Northern Iowa. That's where he was, I think, the quarterback's coach. And I think he's still trying to work his way up there, but he was actually just on campus not too long ago for Wazoo. I think it was yesterday or today to give a quarterback speech, because it was a quarterback weekend and everything. But yeah, we're getting way off topic talking about Wazoo football, but I had to give a Wazoo go Cougs. Little shout out, little
one more thing.
The Cougs. Give it.
One more
go
thing.
It. Let's go.
Did you know that Peyton Pleurer also denied going to Alabama in that same offseason?
That's awesome.
I believe it's his sister's so it's his sister's husband. So his brother-in-law was like a graduate assistant at Alabama, and was like, "Hey, like, do you want to come here and like play under me for a year, and like you'll get like a spot to become like a graduate assistant after this." And Pleurer said like, "No, I'd rather finish it up at WSU." And then now he's like a graduate assistant and maybe even like a coach or something at USC. So yeah.
Yeah, he's doing very, very good stuff in his coaching career as well. I think he's going to be a head coach one day. But I guess how do we talk about Mariners now? Because now I love Cougs, and now we're so deep into Wazoo conversation.
There you go.
Yeah, John Olerud.
John Olerud. There we go. There's our bridge.
Ryan Walker.
Kyle Manzardo.
Manzardo. Can we trade for him?
Adam Conley, he's a good friend of mine from back in the day.
The asking price for Manzardo will be like Castillo, Kirby, and a minor leaguer, right? Like they're gonna take. You'll never get Manzardo. Unfortunately, I wish.
Castillo straight up.
I would say if you're trying to move over to like Cougs, Olerud, this first base. To me, first base right now is a real big kind of sore point for me, because I think Rayleigh fits the mold there. I mean, statistically speaking, he hits better as a first baseman, but without Robles, we're kind of stuck, right? Because you need a guy to play the right field, and you're not bringing Canzone back. You're not going to bring up a Ryland Thomas or a Packard. Uh, there's
Shenton.
you're not going to throw Dylan. I mean, maybe a Dylan Moore out in right field might be a different story. I don't know, something different, right?
Dylan Moore
Uh,
can play first, just a heads up, and he's actually not terrible.
I like the Shenton idea. Honestly, if I had to like pick one of those, like if I had to pick between like the Tacoma Quartet, I'll call them, between like Williamson, Shenton, Young, and Ford. Like if I thought one of them was going to come up and actually like immediately produce at the major league level, it would probably be Austin Shenton. And it might be because I might be placing a little bit too much weight in come on Fangraphs in a 50 plate appearance sample last year, but like he hit sort of well against major league pitching. I don't know. Like I feel like if there's a guy, and he's also just way more polished, I think, than those other guys. Considering that
Yeah.
he's like 27 and those other guys are like 24, 23.
I'd say Ben
21.
Williamson is a guy that's got experience playing third, second. I think he's played some outfield. Why not put the guy at first base?
He's an
Oh,
amazing defender. I think he'd
Yeah,
do
I
very
feel like
well,
I feel like he's worth too much as a defender to have him at first base.
Well,
I know
but
Williamson
you
also
can't-
played some
let's not
shortstop though
diminish-
in
let's not diminish
college.
the first base position though. Like, oh, if we don't have to put a minus defender at first base, why then don't, right? You got Ben Williamson sitting there. If Polanco's playing third base because he feels like he's more involved in the game and that works for him, or Master Bonies, again, you're adding some wheels to the lineup. Like, let's not say, oh, we can't put him at first base because he's too good of a defender. Well, no, that means your right side of your infield is more solidified as a result of it. I don't want.
Let's not gloss over the fact here, though, that Rowdy Tellez just hit a bomb and he's about to go off.
He did.
He hit a bomb.
Yeah, hopefully.
He hit a bomb.
I mean,
yeah,
say
he's 1
he-
for 20.
If you're still saying that you need more at bats at first base for somebody else and you don't want to give them to Rowdy, I mean, hell, send Canzone back down, bring Blake Hunt up to back Cal Raleigh up at catcher, and give the first base at bats to Mitch Garver. You know, get Perry Hill over with a few reps, in practice for Mitch Garver, throw him in at first and see if that's going to work. I at this point, it's like that, or it's you go to Shenton, or you keep giving at bats to Rowdy. So.
And Garver's another guy that I'd like to see him through, right? We're paying him. He's here. I think he's earned a spot to get a few more at bats at some point. So yeah, how cool would that be to have, because of the current situation with everything, is to have Blake Hunt up, and then also just, I guess, platoon your righty and lefty with Rowdy Tellez and Mitch Garver. I think that's a fair statement, and just to see kind of how that pans out over time, and then just keeping some of those other guys like Master Boney, who can play a ton of different spots. You have Dylan Moore, who can play a ton of different spots.
Canzone is
Rivas.
the dead spot on the bench right now. He literally, I think they've got him in one game. I would not be shocked if Dan Wilson didn't get him in before sending him down again. Like, I just don't think that he's there to play. He's there in case something happens to someone. So
that's what, and that's what they did with. Oh, who was the catcher last year?
Sebi Zavala.
Sebi Zavala. They just they gave him 0 at bats for I don't know how long, and he was just like, "Wow." Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, why do you waste this roster space? Because
what about Solano?
Yeah, Donovan Solano's another guy that's just kind of going
he's on the roster. Dude.
To me, I'm actually like, I'm really. We talked about this last week, but I was like advocating for Solano to get in the lineup for like 4 days in a row or like 3 days in a row, and that still hasn't happened. But I still would like that. Like I still am not convinced that he's just completely cooked. He didn't have a spring training, and he's not getting consistent at bats right now. Like I do not feel like it's fair to just make the judgment that he's cooked as a player when he's not getting at bats.
I agree too. Yeah. Go ahead.
This may sound totally superficial, but you can't put a 5'8" guy at first base. And he's only 5'8" in the program. He's probably closer to 5'6" or 5'7" with cleats on. You can't put that guy in at first base in a major league freaking baseball game. You just can't.
Wait, Solano's. I'll be honest. I actually had no idea.
Solano is as short as a running back in the NFL, and he is playing first base on a Major League Baseball team. I just welcome to your Seattle Mariners in 2025, everybody.
Yep. And that's, I mean,
So
Luis Urias is over at first base, and he's also not. I think he's 5'9". So it's
yeah,
like the Padres,
story.
they know how to make them. They know how to make their first baseman. There's only one recipe: the bat to ball and 5'8", 5'9". That's our first baseman. So yeah, I
This makes me miss
Solano.
Casey Kotchman. Come on. This is terrible.
Solano is
Casey Kotchman.
he's providing the guidance and mentoring to his fellow Colombian and fellow future really short first baseman Michael Arroyo.
Is he really going to be plugged in at first base? I think the guy's.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. I'm just
yeah.
kidding. Michael Arroyo. I don't think that's possible. I'm
I
just
was like,
kidding.
Michael Arroyo is way too athletic to just dump on over at first, especially considering his height.
Yeah.
But that's cool that I mean, that's
Yeah, that
for
was something
Columbia.
that I heard
For
though
Columbia.
during the WBC was like during the qualifiers though was that Michael Arroyo was really excited that the Mariners signed Donovan Solano and they were like connecting with each other in camp because they're both Colombian. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's $3.5 million that you're just going to let go if you don't start using them and just seeing what you
Exactly.
have. And just seeing what you have. If you get what 2 months, this isn't Rowdy Tellez, so it's not like you have to make a decision at the end of this month to kind of save a few shekels. You have the whole year, and you're paying him 3.5 at least. It's another $1 million if he hits certain incentives, I believe. But you got to start at least giving him a shot to prove you wrong. And if you give him 3 out of 4 games and try and not sprinkle in at bats, try and sprinkle in starts, and then take him out later in the game if he's over 2 with 2 strikeouts. Like, I'd rather have it that way to where he's prepared for the game. And it's the same thing with starting versus relief pitching.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'd rather be a starter because I know how I'm going to prepare for when I'm going to start. As a relief pitcher, it's chaos, and you need to have a wild mindset to be a relief pitcher in general. So I'd rather they give him a few starts, take him out later in the game if need be, if he's not performing well, and they have Rowdy Tellez off the bench, and it happens to be a righty up. I'd rather see that and just see what you have out of him. Yeah, Knowles. Yeah, what's your thoughts on Donovan Solano and just this situation with a 5'8" first baseman?
I mean, the guy can play second base too, right? Not like we have anyone fixated at second. And I mean, seeing some things from, my family, brother playing, it's hard. And baseball is not exactly one of those things that you can just, yeah, you can show up and get up and, wait 8 innings, get in, hit the ball, not hit the ball. But like, you want to see what a player will actually do. Give him 3 starts and see what happens. Again, if you want to you want to get rid of his 4th at bat at the 8th inning because he's 0 for 3. Okay, fine. But give the person the consistent at bats. Give them 3 games, 9, 10 at bats, and that's going to give you an idea of what you're going to get from a player. Because again, it's not as much of a you're not thinking, oh god, I gotta make the 20 run home run here in this in this certain thing, because if I don't do something great here, I'm not going to get my next at bat. So for me, I would like to, and I think I advocated for Dylan Moore. Give Dylan Moore a weekend, or give Bliss the weekend, at the time, to see what they can do. Stop spot starting these guys, or giving them a pinch hit here and a pinch hit there, and then making your assumption of them based on that. Like, you want to make an assumption of a baseball player, give them a weekend, give them a series, and evaluate that.
Yeah. Well, guys, getting into about an hour and a half in, wanted to kind of get into maybe some final thoughts on today's game, getting into the rest of this series. We'll kind of go just around the horn here. Yeah, I got it right. There we go. Schultze, what's your thoughts on? I had to make sure I was pointing the right way.
Yeah.
Schultze, what's your thoughts on today? Rest of the series, good, bad, ugly, proud of. What's your thoughts on everything?
I mean, I can't believe the Mariners are winning games like they are with such terrible batting averages. But like you guys said, they're still getting on base a lot too. They are like actually producing runners. So maybe we'll start to see, maybe this is the vault off of that point where we're seeing runners not getting hit in. Oh, well, look, clutch home run by our star catcher, Cal Raleigh. Maybe this is the turnaround. I can only hope, but I am worried going into the rest of this series, hopefully the Mariners hitters can actually hit, because if not, you're up against, I know Texas is kind of considered mediocre by the rest of the league's terms, but in the AL West, they're one of the better teams, and they've got a lot of hitters in their lineup, a lot of very professional, highly paid hitters in their lineup. They can go off from Peterson to Young. I mean, then Simeon and Seager. It doesn't end. And if you get hit out, or if you knock knock our starting pitcher out quick enough, Mariners on an already short bullpen track are going to have to be forced to go further, basically beyond the bullpen into their minor league rosters to try to figure out somebody to take a spot on Sunday. And that can't happen if Seattle's going to keep sustaining, the level of play that they are now, which hasn't been great. So hopefully the starting pitching can hold up against a very good offense. I hope that Texas doesn't go off for one, and I hope the bullpen can hold up as well. I think those are my two biggest concerns, which unfortunately kind of lay on the Mariners hitters, allowing them to not be stretched out too much.
Shintaro Fujinami season is coming. Don't you worry about it. Let's see if I can do it again. Brendan, what is your final thoughts on today? Yeah, we're getting there.
I guess my final thought is, isn't there an old saying like, win yesterday, win today, and win tomorrow, and you've got yourself a streak or something like that?
That's a good one.
Something along those lines.
Yep.
Okay, well, win 2 days ago, won today, and win tomorrow, and you've got yourself a winning streak.
Heck yeah.
I hope they keep winning games. I'm glad they won the series the other day. That was like it. Can we just talk about the win 2 days ago for a moment? That was like, there's like a few times this season where like I will get to a point in a game where I'm like, we're not winning this game. We're not, like, there's no chance the Mariners win this game. I'm still watching, but I don't think they're going to win this game, like, under any circumstances. And the last instance I can remember of that was game 1 in New York against the Yankees last year, when like Clay Holmes just completely imploded, and it was like 5-1 in the top of the ninth. That was like the last time I can remember watching a Mariners game and being like, they're not going to win tonight, that they ended up winning. And then 2 days ago. So yeah, that was like incredible. But yeah, that's like, and like the type of win where like I was just like sitting here and just like scrolling through Twitter and so just like, wow, I can't believe they won. I can't believe they won. Like, it like just makes your whole day essentially. But anyways.
Yeah, and it's just funny you brought that up, because the last time I can really vividly remember that happening, I know there's been one in between, but the one I vividly remember was the AL wild card against the Blue Jays when it was 8-0, 9-0.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, we already won the first one. We'll sacrifice. We'll play the third. Whatever it takes, it'll be fine. We'll go into third game, and it is what it is. And that game just absolutely insane. I actually had some friends that bet on that game when we were losing 8-0 or 9-0, and they're like, "Hey, here's $5, whatever." It's like plus 1,000. And yeah, they ended up doing very well that night.
Yeah.
But Nolsey, what are your final thoughts on today, heading into the series, season, anything?
So to add to that, I'd add that game. I'd add 2016 when we were losing to the Padres by 11.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would add the game against the Indians in 2001, in which we were 12.
I wasn't alive.
That was the biggest comeback at the time.
That was
the Mike Cameron, Brett Boone hitting back-to-back jacks consecutively in the same inning, that type of thing.
Because didn't the Indians come back and do that again later in the season to us? Because we were winning like 10-0. Yeah. I remember seeing Kenny Lofton slide across home.
I remember that game being in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with my family. We were up 12-1. We went down to the lake, came back, and it was tied. John Rocker flying into the, from the bullpen. And it was like, oh my God, we've lost the game. But
that's what it is. Yeah.
I would say my outlook for the rest of the series is score early, score often, give your pitchers a little bit of breathing room, and shut the door when you can.
Yeah, and to kind of capitalize on all your guys' thoughts here is ride the highs. Right now, you're running high. Keep the confidence level up, and just use a torpedo bat. Give it a shot. Give it a shot, because you can't get any worse than where you're already at and where you've already been at for the past couple of years as a hitter. Give a torpedo bat a check, because we saw ball absolutely get demolished today. One swing, one bomb. Analytics are through the roof. They're saying to go use it, but more importantly, keep the confidence level up. For Gavin Height, I'm Up West Sports. Yep, and we're gonna say it like that. For Up West Sports, I'm Gavin. We had some really cool people come on the show today, guys. I can't thank you enough. And if you guys want to give a plug to anything, I want to give you guys a quick sec to give a plug to whatever you want to give a plug to. If you got your podcast, if you got any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to, Schultze, do you have anybody that maybe you want to give a plug to here?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I hope we do this a bunch more throughout the season. This was
every Friday.
Really, really fun. Like, seriously, this was great. Just check out the podcast, Believe in Mariners, on Apple or Spotify. I know it's spelled weird, but if you just type BLEAV and then Mariners, you'll find it. And then I'm on YouTube as well. We do a couple podcasts a week. Hadn't done any in the last week because I was on my honeymoon, but we'll be back to normal stead. So yeah, at Believe in Mariners on all these socials out there. So appreciate you guys.
Heck yeah. Give him a shout. Brennan, anything you wanna plug out there?
You can just follow me on Twitter at PintSizeAnalyze. I don't know. That's about it.
Definitely follow him.
Oh,
He's got some crazy cool analytics. Go ahead.
My Twitter is different. It's On the Air Jordan with an O. I should have said that. It's not. But I think if you search Believe in Mariners, it'll come up. But if you like ats, On the Air Jordan with an O. So there you go. Apologize.
And I will also plug their stuff in after I get this whole thing chopped after in post. I'll make sure that they're tagged in here. So you have their channels and everything. And then also if you follow us on Twitter, I'll make sure to tag them in our next week. I always try and give a shout out to who was on the previous week. But yes, catch us every Friday night after the post game. It's really just it's either post game or it's just going to be 7:30 if it's a day game. It's weird that we had a Friday day game, so it was just one of those things where hey, we're going to go at 7:30, but for the most part, it'll just be post game on Friday nights.
I think it was because the Giants had an opening day.
It was an opening day. It was a wild one. So, yeah. Well, for Up West Sports and all of us here, thank you for stopping by. And life's too short. Gas up your boys.
Peace.